Welcome back, players. I'm Jack with 36 Cancel, and this is Coco the Weiss Cat, and you know what time it is. Time to coom to some Hestia cards. Time to do a set showcase of Danmachi. Danmachi, despite being old as dirt, first airing over 7 years ago now, has absolutely held fans captive with its bountiful offerings, and the cash continues to roll in fast enough that they keep making Danmachi stuff, including a season 4 of the anime, which is coming later this July. But slightly before that, Danmachi is coming to English Weiss Schwarz. Of course, the timing is no coincidence. I said it before, but people have always asked me if Danmachi was coming to or already in Weiss Schwarz. Now the answer is finally yes, and that also, yes, Hestia has all the cards you'd want to imagine, own, or hide from your parents in that drawer of shame right next to that sock you never wear. But for how much of an old fart I am, it might surprise you to learn that I've never actually seen Danmachi. And I know there are people like me who know of the show, and being that you can't have been on the internet for the past 7 years and not seen a picture of Hestia, I decided for my sake in making this video, and for the sake of those like me, to ask my friends in Discord to explain Danmachi to me in 5 sentences or less. They said, and I quote, "Gods came down from heaven because they love humanity so much. And then for some reason, there's this dungeon that God's chosen can explore for reasons. The actual story is about a timid young adventurer with harem protag powers, but also somehow unrequited love, as he tries to become a Chad to attract the one girl on the face of the earth who's not into him, and since the goddess that took a liking to him also comes with the price of crushing debt, in the quest for money, fame, and fan service, hijinks happen and continue to happen forever until the present day." And if that's not a solid pitch for a show, I don't know what is. Of course, this being your standard Boukensho isekai without the whole other world thing, it's a perfect adaptation to a Weiss Schwarz set. So let's stop beating around the bush, and talk about the Danmachi Weiss Schwarz set, what it offers, and why, besides the obvious, you'd want to pick it up. To kick this off, I'd like to actually make a comparison to another high fantasy adventuring Weiss Schwarz set, Goblin Slayer. Now, Goblin Slayer and Danmachi are pretty much polar opposites in the genre they occupy, if they even occupy the same genre at all. However, anyone who's looked at Goblin Slayer will find a lot of similarities in Danmachi, at least in Weiss Schwarz. This comes of course from the fact that both Danmachi and Goblin Slayer center around adventurers with weapons, tools, tricks, and equipments being supported by their own brand of divine intervention, and the way this is translated into Weiss Schwarz with event-focused combos that integrate the equipment and weapons, and the supporting cards and the occasional showcase of a god's power is very similar between the two sets. But don't take that as Danmachi is just Goblin Slayer but better, because while some people will say that, the truth is that each has their own unique playstyle, so let's go into my trusty graphic here and see just what Danmachi offers. The first thing you'll notice is that, as we said, the set does have a big event focus. There are more playable and combo-centric events in this set than almost any other. However, another big thing you'll notice is that the universally traded box is marked. Now, there are actually 4 big traits in Danmachi, which are Adventurer, Familia, God, and Hostess of Fertility. I don't know if that's translated right, but I'm going with it. There are also several minor traits like Blacksmith Master, Guild, Supporter, etc. But you'll find that the vast majority of characters with abilities that specify they only work with certain traits, say Adventurer, Hostess, or Familia characters. And being that the vast majority of characters in Danmachi carry at least one of these common traits, everything works together pretty seamlessly. God is actually the trait that's least mentioned in these abilities, however, being that most God cards also carry the Familia trait, they're fine. So basically, you can play anything with some fringe limitations, which is cool because Danmachi has great climax combos at 1, 3, and even 2 if you want, across all 4 colors and groupings of traits. Speaking of colors, you'll also note that the set is quite evenly spread across all 4 colors, however, from what I can tell, green is far more of a supporting cast color. Notably, the set also has standby, though only a single trigger. Rather, instead of being famous for standby, Danmachi is more famous for how effective it is at fighting standby. There does exist some tech that's geared against standby, but mostly it's because the characters can hit deceptively big numbers for low cost. Many characters in Danmachi don't have high printed power, however, the set has a lot of tricks to boost their power way above a lot of the relevant standby targets we know and hate. Aside from all this, the set features some of the standard good stuff like solid early plays, on-attack advantage, hand filtering, and the usual things we want to see out of a solid set. So that covers some basic mechanics, but I know it's important to everyone here, the shinies, so let's talk about collecting. I know you're all afraid of how hard your wallet will bleed for Hestia SPs, but lucky for you, the rarity scale in Danmachi is pretty straightforward. No overframes, set-specific rares, or SSPs, just 7 SPs in the main set and 2 in the trial deck. That said, this covers us for basic set information. There's plenty more to say, but it's time to let the cards speak for themselves. As per usual, we'll showcase some of the standout cards by level, talking about the highlights of the set. And as always with set showcases that are before the release, these card name and ability translations may not all be official, however I'll do my best to keep things as accurate as possible. So let's jump right in at level 0 and open with an awesome card that can go in any deck. Lily, Dungeon Exploration. She's a 500 power coin flip, meaning that during your opponent's draw phase, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's level 1 or higher, you can return her to your hand. That's great because she also has the mind game card draw effect. This is where your opponent declares a number, either 1, 2, or 3, and you put the top card of your deck into the waiting room, and if that card is the same level as the number your opponent declared, you get to draw that many cards plus 1. There's actually been a lot of math done on this effect, and the data says that over all the games you'll play, always declaring 0 will net your opponents the fewest amount of cards when presented with this effect. However, the actual answer is always to call 3, because you want your opponent to know that you're not afraid of how many cards they draw, because you're still going to win. Next up, we have an Ice and Hestia with some classic Coomer art and 2 abilities. First, on play, pay 1, pitch 1, and top check X where any card where X is the number of other characters. And second, if you're level 3, you can pay 2 and sacrifice this to play the level 3 Ice, which we'll touch on later, from the waiting room. Anyway, let's look at the card that's being used as the poster child for Danmachi. Belle and Hestia, story begins here. 2500 and on reverse, top check 3, add a character, and pitch a card. Standard, but quality. Something not as standard is Wealth Wandering Heart. When he's played, all players choose up to 4 cards in their memory and put all the other cards in their waiting room, something against heavy memory compression. And when he attacks, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it has a soul trigger, you get the Queen Cut effect for free. Well, that's pretty cool. Kind of random, but a really interesting set of effects on a 2K0. Now this is a lot of front row stuff, but the back row stuff is pretty cool too. We have Hestia, Life of a Human, the tap self-searching brainstormer with some serious event synergy. Once per turn, when you play an event, you can draw and pitch. And being that you'll be playing events on everyone's turn, this is a pretty awesome filter. Hestia also has another event synergy 0 that's also a standby hate card. Hestia, multiple part-time jobs, lets you top check 3 for an event and pitch a card, and also choose one of your opponent's characters and lock it in place till the end of their next turn. This has the function of locking standby targets that were put in the back row, which is pretty good. In addition, Aina isn't without good cards. She represents the set's drop searcher, which, while she only has 500 power, also happens to be a bottom decking bomb. Really good. There are other things at 0 that are also pretty good, like this Hestia that gives you a free level 0 to the stage and a free stock on reverse, a climax swapper that's also a level swapper, a trait sniping memory top checker, and a 3/5 chasing ice. But we need to move on to level 1 and get things rolling. And for Danmachi, you don't talk about anything else at level 1 before talking about Belle First Adventure. Base 4500, on attack, she gets plus 1500 for each event called Firebolt in your waiting room. That actually kinda reminds me of Maple's level 1 combo from Beaufry. His combo, on a gate, is that on attack, you choose either to search your deck for an event called Hestia Knife or salvage an event called Hestia Knife. And yeah, this is where we get the Goblin Slayer vibes, because cutting right to Hestia Knife, it's pretty much the same text as Torch. It's a counter event where you top check 4 and add 1. However, if you don't have a character with Belle in the name, you can't play it during the counter step, and if you don't have a Hestia or Belle, you can't play it at all. But you can play it without meeting the color requirement. This has a lot of caveats, but being the combo is on a Belle, this is pretty much all flavor text. And yeah, the Torch combo is really good, and such, this is really good. But First Adventure Belle mentions a different event, Firebolt. Firebolt is a 1/0 event where you choose a level X or lower character in your waiting room and salvage it, where X is the number of Belle First Adventure in your waiting room, which is pretty convenient considering you need the event in your waiting room and your Belle in your hand for your level 1 combo. This does mean that you're pretty much packing at least 8 events to support this combo, not that it matters since you basically use them all to get your combo anyway. However, some elect to run even more than 8 considering how good Pionkichi is. It's a 1/1 event where you salvage a character and give another character plus 4k, and yeah, that's really good. And it's even better if you play it with this 1/0 wealth, which makes all your Pionkichi cost 1 less stock. Yeah, chew on that. And this wealth also lets you pay 1 and rest him to top check X for a level 1 or higher card, where X is the number of Pionkichi in your waiting room plus 1. So yeah, pretty wild set of events here for Danmachi. But Belle and the event suite aren't the only things good at level 1 that you can run. Ice has her very own combo. She's base 4500, and on attack, if you have 4 more other characters, she gives another character plus 2500 power. Her combo is on a choice trigger, and on attack, you pitch a yellow card. If you do, top check 5 and add 2 characters to your hand. Overall, she can boost your front row pretty high, and the combo is solid. Ryu also has their own combo. Base 5k, and on a bar, discard a card, and if you have 2 experience, top check 3 and add up to 3 characters from that to your hand, which is a lot of cards. Now aside from the events and combos, level 1 Danmachi does have some generic good tech. This 5k 1-0 Hestia becomes 9k when you play a Hestia knife, and this 1-1 Bell is 8500 so long as you have 2 or more other characters. Lily also has a 1-1 anti-early play that you can pay 1 as many times as you want to add an infinite number of soul to. And finally, Hestia has a 1-0 anti-early play backup where you can pitch to and bottom deck your target, which is straight power creep from the other 1-0 backups in the game that have this same text but put the target in the waiting room. Again, plenty of other things to talk about at level 1, but for the sake of sanity, we'll move right on to level 2. Now, level 2 in Danmachi isn't super notable, but there are a few standouts. Hestia does have a 2-1 pay 1 pitch 1 Fumio on play that also sends an opponent's character to memory and puts it back. Bell has a 2-1 pay 3 restand climax combo that you can't use until level 3 for some reason, and there are some 2-1 backups that can top check or add 3k plus power. There's also a 2-1 stock swap event in blue if you want to run even more events. Finally, Aina has a great 2k level 3 assist that you can rest and choose an opponent's character to disallow backups and events during its battle. But again, level 2 isn't such a big part of Danmachi, so we're going to move right on to level 3. Now in Danmachi, you have tech and tricks spread out across all the colors, off finishers and early plays alike, so we'll visit one color at a time. Starting with green, it lacks a climax combo finisher, but we do have a Ryu that's an on-play heal and cross-turn clock kick, and a Seer that's a level 3 back row that gives 2k and hexproof, as well as searches on play. Yellow is a bit more fleshed out. We have a 4 more early play eyes that comes in, gets big, and can be backed up against across turns. Again, this definitely adds to the non-standby stage presence that Danmachi can muster. Eyes also has a top deck sniping finisher. She heals, and on attack, you can pay 2 and dig 3 deep from the top of your opponent's deck, choosing any number of those 3 cards you find to leave on top or put into the waiting room. It's a bit expensive, but digging 3 is pretty brutal. This is backed up by the fact that Ice combo are both choices, and there's a level 0 Ice that's also a stock bomb that becomes a choice trigger when you have a choice in the climax zone. We also have an off finisher Lily, where on play you return an opponent's character to hand, and she gets no penalty for side attacking, and on attack you can pay 2 and pitch the level 0 Lily to give her and another character cancel burn, definitely a great one of. But it's time to talk about red, which carries some of the most interesting stuff at level 3. First off, Bell has a 4 or more early play that heals, and on attack it gives itself markers to gain power, though the markers happen to be events, one of which not many people elect to play even if they do play the Bell, therefore stunting its power a bit. Bell also has an off finisher that top checks X on play, where X is characters, and on attack, if you have Hestia knife in your waiting room, lets you pay 1, pitch 1, burn 1. Pretty good as a final turn dig that can also give you an extra boost to kill your opponent. But he's not the only finisher. Wealth actually has a non-climax finisher, where on play you reveal the top, and if it's a character or an event called Crozo's Magic Sword, you burn 1. And on reverse, you can pay 1 and pitch a character, and then if you have the level and color, you can play Crozo's Magic Sword without paying its cost. Crozo's Magic Sword is a 3/3 event that burns 3, by the way. Now this could be a bit risky considering that you're likely already playing a lot of events, which makes the burn 1 miss a decent amount of the time, and Wealth doesn't get very big for that reverse. Given all these factors, many find him cumbersome to run outside the dedicated Wealth deck. However, it's a compelling finisher nonetheless, and actually has the biggest real finishing power in Danmachi. To see why this is, we have to move to blue, the last part of the level 3 game here. Again, there are several elements here, including tools and finishers. To start with, blue easily has the best early play in the set. Hestia Lollygod is a base 9k that gets plus 500 for each other character on both turns. On play, you put the bottom card of your clock in your waiting room, and her early play condition is to have the Brainstorming Hestia in your clock. An 11k healer you can play on any stage is hard to argue with on any front. Hestia also has a tech level 3. Hestia Goddess on play lets you choose a character in your hand whose level is equal to or lower than yours, play it for free, and it gets plus 2k power. You can also pitch a card and have both players free fresh. Definitely some potential for multiple strong plays, but Hestia's real popular level 3, considered Danmachi's main finisher, is Hestia Proof of Trust. She gets plus 1k for each character in your backstage, and on play she's a discard stock healer. Her climax combo is on a pants, which is, on attack, you can choose one of your characters and it gets plus 1 soul and cancel burn 2. Now this can be punishing for uncompressed decks, as well as pinpoint for side attacks. However, it definitely lacks some of the finishing punch that other sets have. Nonetheless, it's a decent finisher to cap out a super techy set, and that's where I'm going to cap out this set showcase. As per usual, there are many other cards that deserve their moment in the spotlight, but there are also many other videos that deserve to get made before they're 5 months behind. So I hope this has been helpful for you players at home to see what Danmachi offers as a set, and give you a reason, as if Hestia wasn't enough, to try it out. There may or may not be some box openings in the near future, so look forward to that, and look forward to more exciting content this summer season. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.